The tension in the air was palpable as Edochie raised her hands, and a sudden gust of wind swept through the crowd, extinguishing their torches. The villagers screamed and stumbled backward, clutching one another for safety. Edochie's voice echoed, deep and otherworldly, as she chanted words in an ancient tongue. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and a dark mist began to rise around Edochie. "You dare challenge me," she roared, her once beautiful face twisting into something monstrous. Amaka stepped forward, holding her protective staff high. "Your magic won't work here, Edochie. Not while the people stand united against you." She threw a pouch of herbs into the air, and a bright light erupted, cutting through the darkness. Edochie staggered, shielding her eyes from the light. "You think you can stop me with tricks," she spat. But her confidence wavered as the light grew brighter, forcing the mist to dissipate. Agatha, emboldened by Amaka's courage, stepped forward as well. "Your time is over, Edochie. This village won't live under your shadow anymore." The villagers began to chant, their voices growing louder, their unity weakening Edochie's grip on her dark powers. Edochie stumbled back, her power faltering under the combined strength of the villagers' unity and Amaka's spiritual defenses. The dark mist around her faded, revealing her true form, a withered, hollow version of the woman the village once revered. You don't understand," Edochie screamed, her voice cracking with desperation. "Everything I did was for the good of this village." Amaka stepped forward, her expression unyielding. "You drained the life of innocent people to fuel your greed. That's not prosperity. It's destruction." Agatha found her voice, addressing the crowd. "She used us, all of us. Our clothes, our energy. Everything we gave her only fed her power. We can't let this continue." The villagers murmured in agreement, their anger growing. "We trusted you," one man shouted. "You betrayed us." Edochie fell to her knees, her strength completely gone. "Without my rituals, this village will crumble," she sobbed. Amaka shook her head. "No, it will thrive. But only if we work together, without fear or deceit." The crowd cheered, their unity stronger than ever. Edochie's reign had come to an end, and the village was finally free. With Edochie's power broken, the village was left in shock. Her mansion, once a symbol of prosperity, now stood as a reminder of betrayal. The villagers gathered at the square the next morning, their murmurs filled with uncertainty about what lay ahead. Amaka addressed them, standing on a small platform. "The darkness that clouded this village has lifted. Now it's up to us to rebuild, not through shortcuts or rituals, but through unity and hard work." The villagers nodded, but doubt lingered in their faces. Agatha stepped forward, her voice shaking but firm. "We can do this together. We've survived so much already. Let's take this as a chance to start fresh." One by one, the villagers began to agree. They divided tasks, replanting crops, repairing homes, and ensuring everyone had enough to eat. Agatha worked tirelessly, her tattered clothes replaced by garments gifted from grateful neighbors. Though Edochie's betrayal had scarred the village, it also brought them closer. For the first time in years, the community felt united. Agatha felt a glimmer of hope as she looked at the people working side by side. Perhaps her life was finally turning around. Despite her defeat, Edochie remained in the village, now a shadow of her former self. She was brought before the villagers in the square, her once commanding presence reduced to humility. "What do we do with her?" a man asked, his voice filled with anger. "She deceived us for years. We must punish her," another woman shouted. Amaka raised her hand to calm the crowd. "Justice must be served, but not through vengeance. Let her work to repay what she's taken." The villagers murmured in agreement, and it was decided that Edochie would serve the community. Her wealth was distributed among those she had harmed, and she was assigned the task of helping rebuild the village. Agatha watched as Edochie, now dressed in plain clothes, worked alongside the people she had wronged. It was a strange sight, but it felt right. For the first time, Edochie seemed human, vulnerable and capable of change. Though the road to redemption would be long, Agatha hoped Edochie could find a new purpose. As the village began to heal, Agatha found herself at a crossroads. Her role in exposing Edochie had earned her the respect and gratitude of the community, and she was no longer seen as the poor, lonely girl in tattered clothes. One morning, the village chief approached her. "Agatha, you've shown great courage and wisdom. We need someone to oversee the new trade routes we're establishing. Would you consider taking the position?" Agatha was stunned. "Me? But I've never done anything like that before." "You've proven you can lead," the chief said. "And we trust you." Though hesitant, Agatha accepted. She began working with merchants and farmers, ensuring the village's resources were distributed fairly. It was challenging, but she found a sense of purpose she had never known before. For the first time in her life, Agatha felt like she belonged. Weeks passed, and the village thrived under its newfound unity. Edochie, though still watched closely, began to earn back some trust. She worked tirelessly, repairing homes and tending to the fields. One afternoon, Agatha found Edochie sitting by the stream, her hands raw from labor. "Why are you here?" Agatha asked, wary. Edochie looked up, her eyes filled with remorse. "To reflect. I lost my way, Agatha. I wanted power so badly that I forgot what truly matters." Agatha sat beside her, surprised by the vulnerability in Edochie's voice. "You hurt a lot of people," she said. "I know," Edochie replied. "And I'll spend the rest of my life making amends." Though it wasn't easy, Agatha felt a small spark of forgiveness begin to grow. She realized that even those who falter deserve a chance to change. Months later, the village was unrecognizable. The once divided community now thrived, its fields lush and its people united. Agatha, now a respected leader, walked through the village square, marveling at the transformation. Amaka approached her, a proud smile on her face. "You've done well, Agatha. The village owes much to you." Agatha shook her head. "It wasn't just me. We all worked together." As they talked, children ran past, laughing and playing, a sight that had been rare in the village's darker days. Agatha felt a sense of peace she had never known before. Though her journey had been fraught with challenges, it had led her to a life filled with purpose and belonging. She had found not only a place in the village but also a family in its people. The village, once shrouded in darkness, now stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of unity, forgiveness, and perseverance. The village was buzzing with excitement as preparations for a grand celebration began. For the first time in years, the people wanted to honor their renewed unity and prosperity. Agatha stood at the center of the square, helping the women decorate with colorful fabrics and flowers. "We've been through so much," one elder said. "It's time to rejoice and show our gratitude." As the sun set, The square was transformed into a magical space. Lanterns hung from trees, their warm glow illuminating the happy faces of villagers. Tables overflowed with food, freshly baked bread, roasted meats, and fruits harvested from the revitalized fields. Agatha watched as children danced to the rhythm of drums, their laughter infectious. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing she had played a part in this transformation. When the chief called for silence, he raised a cup and said, "Tonight we celebrate not just our survival but our growth." To Agatha, who reminded us what it means to fight for each other. The villagers cheered, and Agatha's cheeks flushed with gratitude. She realized this was no longer just a celebration. It was a promise of a brighter future. As the celebration wound down and the villagers dispersed, Agatha lingered by the stream, enjoying the quiet. The moonlight shimmered on the water, and a cool breeze carried the scent of flowers. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. Turning, she saw a stranger dressed in a long cloak. The figure's face was partially obscured, but their presence exuded calm authority. "Agatha," the stranger said, their voice soft yet commanding. "You have done well for your people." "Who are you?" Agatha asked, her heart racing. The stranger smiled. "A guide of sorts. I come to offer wisdom and protection. Your village has faced darkness, but there are always greater challenges ahead." Agatha frowned, unsure of the stranger's intentions. "What kind of challenges?" "That I cannot say. But remember this. True strength lies in your heart and the bonds you've forged here. Trust them, and you'll overcome anything." Before Agatha could ask more, the stranger disappeared into the night, leaving her with more questions than answers. Image prompt. Agatha standing by the moonlit stream, her face illuminated in surprise as a cloaked stranger speaks to her, the reflection of the moon shimmering on the water. Scene 33. The first signs of trouble. A week after the celebration, strange things began to happen. Livestock went missing, crops wilted overnight, and a sense of unease crept through the village. Agatha, now trusted by the villagers, was the first to hear their concerns. "It's as if the land is angry," one farmer said. "We haven't seen anything like this since." He trailed off, unwilling to mention Adeora's rituals. Amaka was quick to investigate. After examining the fields and the missing animals, she concluded, "This isn't natural. Something or someone is trying to disrupt the peace we've worked so hard to build." The villagers grew fearful, whispering about curses and old enemies. Agatha knew she had to act quickly to prevent panic. She gathered the people in the square and said, "We've faced darkness before, and we overcame it by standing together. This time will be no different." Her words reassured them, but deep down, Agatha wondered if they were truly prepared for whatever was coming. Determined to uncover the source of the disturbances, Agatha and Amaka ventured into the forest where Adeora once performed her rituals. The air was thick with tension, and the rustling of leaves seemed louder than usual. "Do you think Adeora could be behind this?" Agatha asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Amaka shook her head. "She doesn't have the power anymore. But her actions may have awakened something older, something that feeds on fear." As they reached the clearing where Adeora's rituals had taken place, Agatha froze. The ground was scorched, and strange symbols were etched into the soil. "These weren't here before," Amaka said, kneeling to inspect the markings. "Someone or something is trying to take Adeora's place." Agatha felt a chill run down her spine. "What do we do?" Amaka stood, her face grim. We prepare. This is only the beginning. The next day, a stranger arrived in the village, a man with piercing eyes and an unsettling smile. He introduced himself as Obina, a wandering trader, but something about him felt off. He quickly ingratiated himself with the villagers, offering rare goods and telling captivating stories. But Agatha noticed the way he lingered near the children and asked too many questions about the village's history. Amaka was equally wary. He's not just a trader, she said. There's a darkness about him. Agatha decided to confront Obina. What brings you to our village? She asked, keeping her tone polite but firm. Obina's smile didn't waver. Just business. Your village has a certain charm. I thought I might stay a while. Agatha's unease grew, but without proof of wrongdoing, she couldn't ask him to leave. Instead, she resolved to keep a close eye on him. As the sun set, Obina stood at the edge of the village, watching the horizon with a strange intensity. Agatha couldn't shake the feeling that he was waiting for something, or someone. As the days passed, Agatha grew increasingly suspicious of Obina. He never stayed in one place for long, always moving around the village, observing and making cryptic comments about the village's past. One evening, Agatha couldn't take it anymore. She found him near the village square, staring at a stone with strange markings. "What are you doing here?" Agatha demanded, her voice sharp. Obina turned slowly, an enigmatic smile on his face. "Curiosity can be dangerous, Agatha," he replied smoothly. "Some things are better left hidden." "I don't trust you," Agatha said, taking a step closer. "You've been asking too many questions, and you know more than you should about this village." Obina's smile faded. "I'm not your enemy. I'm here to warn you." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "There's a force greater than Adiora's ritual that has begun to stir. You think the village is safe now, but you're wrong." Agatha's heart raced as she took a step back. "What do you mean?" "Be careful who you trust," Obina whispered before melting into the shadows, leaving Agatha with more questions than answers. That night, Agatha couldn't sleep. The cryptic words of Obina haunted her thoughts, and she felt a deep unease settle over her. Unable to shake the feeling that something was coming, she decided to visit the old library in the village, an abandoned structure filled with ancient texts that the villagers had long since forgotten. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Agatha carefully examined the shelves, looking for any clue about the new threat Obina had warned her about. Her fingers traced the spines of worn books until one caught her eye. A book of forgotten spells and curses, its cover adorned with strange symbols. As she flipped through the pages, she stumbled upon a passage that spoke of a hidden force, one that could manipulate people's fears and desires to gain control. It was a dark magic that had been sealed away long ago, and it seemed to be awakening. Her breath caught in her throat. "Obina was right," she whispered. The following morning, Agatha sought out Amaka to share her discovery. They met in the village square, where a group of children were playing in the distance. "Amaka, we have a serious problem," Agatha said urgently. "Obina isn't just a trader. He's been looking for something dark. There's magic here, buried deep, and I think it's what's been causing the disturbances." Amaka's expression hardened as she listened. "That book you found, it's real. I've heard stories from the elders about a curse that has haunted this land for centuries. They say that whoever awakens the curse can control the minds of others." Agatha's stomach tightened. Then we have to stop Obinna before it's too late. Amaka nodded. We need to gather the village and prepare. This is not just about protecting ourselves. It's about protecting everything we've rebuilt. Together, they set out to warn the villagers and ready themselves for the looming threat. For a few days, there was a strange calm in the village. The weather was perfect, the crops continued to grow, and the people went about their daily lives as if nothing had changed. But Agatha couldn't shake the feeling that they were all walking on the edge of something dangerous. She visited the edge of the forest with Amaka, where the mysterious symbols had been carved into the ground. Do you think the curse is linked to these markings? Agatha asked. Amaka studied the symbols closely. It's possible. These are ancient, powerful marks, meant to summon something. But what I don't know. Just then, a chilling breeze swept through the trees, and the forest grew unnaturally quiet. It felt as if the earth itself was holding its breath. We need to act now, Amaka said, her voice urgent. Whatever's coming, it's already here. That night, Agatha and Amaka decided to confront Obinna once and for all. They found him standing by the village gates, staring into the distance, as if waiting for something or someone. You've been hiding the truth, Obinna, Agatha said, stepping forward. What are you really after? Obinna turned, his eyes gleaming with a strange light. I told you before, Agatha. I'm not your enemy. But this village is on the brink of destruction. You can't stop what's already been set in motion. You're the one who set it in motion, Amaka said, her voice sharp. You've been manipulating us all along. Obinna smiled, a cold, triumphant smile. You still don't understand, do you? This village was always meant to be mine. And now, with the curse awakening, nothing will stop me from taking control. As he spoke, the wind picked up, and the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. As Obinna's power surged, dark clouds gathered above the village, blotting out the stars. The villagers gathered in fear, sensing the growing danger. Agatha and Amaka knew they had to act quickly. We have to stop him before it's too late, Agatha said, her voice filled with determination. Amaka nodded. I'll draw him away. You need to find the source of the curse and destroy it. The two women parted ways, and Agatha raced to the forest, where the dark magic had first begun to stir. As she reached the clearing, she saw Obinna standing at the center, raising his arms toward the sky, chanting in an ancient tongue. No! Agatha shouted, rushing forward. This ends now. With a fierce cry, she charged at Obinna, but the ground beneath her feet cracked open, sending her stumbling backward. With a surge of strength, Agatha rose to her feet. She remembered the ancient book, the passage about destroying dark magic from the source. She glanced around and spotted a stone altar hidden beneath vines. This is it, she whispered to herself, racing toward the altar. Obinna laughed, his voice echoing through the clearing. You think you can stop me? This power is mine. You're too late. But Agatha ignored him, her hands trembling as she began to chant the incantations from the book. As she did, a brilliant light erupted from the altar, pushing Obinna back. No, he screamed, his form beginning to disintegrate as the curse was broken. The sky cleared and the winds died down. The darkness that had descended on the village was gone. Obinna's hold on the villagers was shattered. With the curse broken and Obinna gone, the village began to heal once more. The crops flourished, the animals returned, and the villagers rejoiced. Agatha and Amaka stood together on the hill overlooking the village, watching the sun rise over the fields. "We've done it," Amaka said softly. Agatha smiled, but there was a sense of peace in her heart. "We did it together. And now, the village can finally be free." The people gathered in the square to celebrate their victory, singing and dancing beneath the bright, clear sky. Agatha had proven that even in the face of darkness, unity and determination could restore hope. As the village flourished, Agatha took on a new role as a leader, guiding the community with wisdom and compassion. She worked alongside Amaka, ensuring that the lessons learned from the trials they had faced would never be forgotten. The village had grown stronger, and Agatha's once tattered clothes were replaced with garments fit for someone who had earned their place among the leaders of her people. Though she had endured hardship and loss, Agatha had found her purpose. And with the love and support of the community, Agatha's journey had only just begun. Years passed, and the village became a beacon of hope and prosperity. Agatha's legacy lived on, not just through her actions, but in the hearts of the people she had saved. As she sat on the porch of her home, watching children play in the fields, Agatha smiled. The village had become a true family, and they were ready for whatever the future held. And in her heart, Agatha knew that the power of unity, love, and perseverance would always triumph over darkness. The moral lesson of this story revolves around the power of unity, resilience, and the strength of community. Agatha's journey teaches us that no matter how dire the circumstances, the bonds between people can overcome even the darkest forces. The story emphasizes the importance of unity. Agatha's village thrives because they work together, not just to survive but to prosper. When challenges arise, it's the collective strength of the community that helps them endure and fight back. Resilience in the face of adversity. Agatha's own transformation from a lonely, abandoned woman to a respected leader showcases the power of perseverance. Even when faced with overwhelming odds, she remains determined and never gives up. The dangers of ignoring the past. The story highlights how ignoring past mistakes or forgotten threats can allow darkness to rise again. By understanding history and learning from it, we can prevent future disasters. The importance of integrity. Throughout her journey, Agatha stays true to her values, even when tempted by power or manipulation. Her unwavering moral compass is crucial to her success. Trust and leadership. Agatha's leadership is grounded in trust, both her trust in the villagers and their trust in her. Effective leadership is not about control, but about empowering others to contribute to the common good. Ultimately, the story teaches that by standing together, staying true to one's principles, and never losing hope, people can overcome even the most formidable challenges.